Hi guys, my name is Nonima Dikela. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So today I want us to go through to what Mnisi referred to, the case against LPC and LPC employees by Madonsela. Guys, I found the judgment. Someone shared the judgment. I found the judgment. Let's see what's going on in there before we talk about it too much. Let's see, because the bottom line of that, Nisi was trying to tell Mr. Sambo that it's not like LPC is innocent. There's too much fraud going on there, go LPC. It's not a place that one can really trust, because employees from LPC are very corrupt. Listen to this. Here, I'm going to read such a few things here from this case. But before we get into that, guys, please make sure you do not forget to like, to share, to comment, and most importantly, please subscribe. Please subscribe, please like, please. That engagement is very important for this channel. Thank you so much. Now, uthini umnisi, guys, uthini umnisi, ithini lento, ithini. There are 7 respondents. Ne? First respondent is Legal Practice Council. And then there are other people. I won't name and shame them, but there are other people. But the Madonsela that is here, who's an applicant, the matter is between Madonsela. It's not Tulsile. It's not Tuli, unless that's her second name. That's Madonsela Z, not T. The one that we know is T, right? We know T, the former public protector. No, I don't think that's her. I don't think it's I could be wrong. But there is a case, a matter between Donsela Z, who's an applicant, and then Legal Practice and other employees. The judgment, this was heard on the 2nd of April, 2025. Delivered, this judgment was handed down electronically by circulation to the parties' legal representatives by email and publication on the Labour Court's website. The date for hand down is deemed to be 14 April 2025 judgment. I guess it won't be wrong. If it's there, then if it's there, go website, then it's for public consumption. So I guess I can say case number 2025/043863. Matter between Madonsela Zandile, who is an applicant, and the Legal Practice first respondent, Nzuza C, second respondent, Briel Ignatius. Third respondent, Sisol Labor Projects. Fourth respondent, Mohabatlou Sol S. Fifth respondent, Tokiso Dispute Settlement. Sixth respondent, Amit Kachalia. Seventh respondent. Now, let's read this. The judgment, I think that's the judge. Introduction. The mandate of the first respondent Legal Practice Council is to set the norms and standards in the legal profession. In accordance with Section 5 of Legal Practice Act, the LPC's objectives are inter alia to promote and to protect the public interest, enhance and maintain the integrity and status of the legal profession, determine, enhance and maintain appropriate standards of professional practice and ethical conduct of all legal practitioners and candidate legal practitioners. It follows that if the LPC or its officials do not live up to the above ethos, the legal profession as a whole and the judiciary should be concerned. This application, albeit concerned with the final relief sought by the applicant, has its genesis in the alleged unethical conduct of legal practitioners who are said to have been involved in an elaborate corrupt scheme with the employees of LPC with a view of enabling them to circumvent the LPC regulatory processes, more particularly into their conduct and fitness as practitioners. Background. The applicant, Ms. Z. Madonsela, is employed by the LPC since 2019 in its Gauteng office as an administrator in the risk and Assessment Department during 2024. It came to the attention of the LPC through an anonymous tip-off and an internal investigation that its employees in the Risk and Compliance Department in Gauteng were involved in a corrupt scheme with legal practitioners in exchange of money, which included the facilitation of irregular and unlawful falsification of lawyers, of attorneys' audits, and irregular issuing of certificates of good standing and fidelity fund certificates. Disciplinary proceedings were instituted against the employees who were allegedly involved in the scheme, including the applicant. Some of these employees have elected to resign midstream the proceedings. With this application, the applicant approached this court on an urgent basis, seeking a declaratory order that any disciplinary proceeding against her by the first, second executive officer of LPC, third director, fourth, fifth initiator, sixth, and seventh chairperson of the disciplinary inquiry, respondents be declared as unlawful, unconstitutional, and breach of her employment contract. She also contended that the respondents are in breach of a settlement agreement between the parties, in terms of which they had agreed that the disciplinary process against her will be terminated in exchange for providing information related to the involvement of other employees and assist LPC's ongoing investigations. The 6 and the 7 respondents have not filed answering affidavits. This application was launched on 31st March 2025 against the following background. Resulting from the tip-off, the applicant was placed on precautionary suspension on 11 May 2024. On the 20th January 2025, she was served with a notice to appear at a disciplinary hearing and scheduled for 27 January 2025. Broad charges of fraud, falsifying documents, and pertaining to the corrupt scheme with legal practitioners as referred to above were preferred against her. At the first sitting of the hearing, the applicant sought legal representation, which was granted. The matter did not proceed on account of unavailability of a legal representation and was rescheduled for 30 January 2025. At the hearing on 30 January 2025, the applicant, through her legal representative, raised serious preliminary points, including demanding a discovery of further documents. The chairperson of the hearing issued a ruling on the 7th February 2025, effectively disposing of the preliminary points. The hearing was rescheduled for the 10th February 2025. The matter did not proceed on 10th January as the applicant contends that she was declared medically unfit. In her absence, her legal representative entered into a settlement discussion with the initiator. The LPC contends that the discussion came after the applicant's legal representative had indicated that she was in possession of evidence that implicated other employees that were involved in the corrupt scheme with the legal practitioners. The applicant's legal representative further indicated that the applicant would provide this information to the LPC on condition that the disciplinary hearing against her will be permanently terminated. The initiator had confirmed with the applicant's legal representative that if she provided any credible information to the LPC that was not already in its possession or knowledge, then the disciplinary hearing would still proceed against her, but that should the chairperson find her guilty on the charges, then the LPC would make submissions that she issued with a lesser sanction rather than a dismissal. The applicant's legal representative were also informed that any settlement arrangement would, however, have to be sanctioned by the executive officer of the LPC. It is not in dispute that on 20 February 2025, the application, in the light of the conditions of her suspension, was granted access to the premises and to her computer and emails for the purpose of printing and providing the information as promised by her legal representative. On the 27th February 2025, the applicant had provided the information to the LPC in a hard copy format. Upon the perusal of the information, the LPC concluded that the information was inconsistent with the one already in its possession and or was of no value to its investigations. Against these conclusions, the LPC informed the applicant through her legal representative on the 4th of March 2025 that its executive officer had decided that the disciplinary hearing against her should proceed on 2nd and 4th April 2025 and previously agreed before the chairperson on 10th February 2025 when the matter was postponed. Guys, I'm not going to read all of that. It's a long thing, but what we are getting here is that there is corruption for LPC. So many employees, because those are a lot of people. There's so much corruption happening there, go LPC. So we cannot say that the Giago matter is immune from all of that. That's the jinx of what we are trying to say. Then that matter of technical but in bona fide technical error, very questionable. Very, very much questionable. And it could be that LPC is trying to assist itself when it comes to their reputation. But this is very bad for them. This is very bad for them. This is very bad because it's putting it out there that there is a lot going on in that organization. So that means we can question anything when it comes to LPC. When it comes to this Fidelity Fund situation, we are at liberty to question because of corruption that happens in there. That's what Mnisi was trying to bring about. That is what Mnisi was trying to bring about, but that judgment is there and it's saying a lot about what happens in the Ekweza offices, especially in the Johannesburg offices. So if they are like that, and then now they come with duplications, and then now the developers on that were watching the case were not impressed, then it says a lot. I don't know what are your views when it comes to that, but I'll wait. Let's talk about it. Quick comment section. What do you think when you are hearing what is written in this judgment and the things about fraud and corruption at LPC being something that happens? What are your thoughts when it comes to that? Let's talk with comment section. I want to hear your views. Thank you so much. I will see you on our next video. Enjoy your day. Bye-bye.